Back here in Towson, Maryland for Puerto Rico and Israel. Let's introduce our two coaches. Natalie Bermudez is 13-1 so far as the head coach of the Puerto Rican women's senior national team. Was the head coach at Division II Felician College in Rutherford, New Jersey, 3 years after being an assistant. She's from Toms River, New Jersey, and played at Monsignor Donovan High School and was a star midfielder at Georgian Court University along the shore. And for Israel, first time as the head coach of Israel, Shelly Brzezicki. And she is a native here of Maryland, but grew up in Israel until the age of 11. And she has helped out in the Israeli national program often over the last decade, and now the head coach. Judith Schneider, Ursula Johnson, Larry Carr, and Ake Kriwal doing the honors as our 4 officials. And we're underway on what is a hot and muggy morning from Maryland. Israel captures the first draw control. This is a Heat 2 index advisory, so we will have water breaks at each quarter and have extended quarter breaks. So Israel to work offensively. Jessie Stone, Danny Jacobstein, and Julia Rowland on the attack with Lindsay McCone, Courtney Miller, and Allie Bernard, the first midfield. That's that shot. And the backup for Puerto Rico. They win the race to the end line. Their captain, Monica Negron. And Shadili Heater, Tia Riemann, and Puerto Rico to work. Negron joined by Negron, Sarah Cedarstrand, and Adriana Nojaim. On the low D, the midfield, the Pansini sisters, Natalie and Maria, and Skylar Carrasquillo. The attack, Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw, who leads the way with 6 goals. Christina Clayton will quarterback, and Brianna Carrasquillo. 3 sets of sisters on this Puerto Rico team. And for Israel, Kelly Layton making her 3rd straight start here in Towson. Captain Sarah Meisenberg with Megan Lerner, Sarah Platt, the low D. Natalie Pansini. And Brianna Carrasquillo able to work her way into the 11 with the flag out. In the international game, it's called the 11 meter as opposed to the 8 in U.S. college and high school. Same distance, just the 11 meter measures to the goal line as opposed to the top of the crease. That is what's called the 8 meter in U.S. college. Calls turnover, Megan Lerner. And wins her one-on-one battle as Layton will start transition for the Israelis. And Meisenberg will go far sideline for Sarah Platt. Chance perhaps for transition. Taking it to go! Jessie Stone. Israel able to run a little secondary break. And Steinberg Stone starts the scoring. So after they get the stop with the caused turnover from Lerner, no one really stopped the ball for Puerto Rico. And Jessie Stone, known as a terrific finisher during her time at Cornell. 136 goals, 3rd all-time at Cornell. And we have an early timeout called here by Natalie Bermudez and Puerto Rico. So we'll have a look at the rule differences among those. 2 less players on the field, and the possession clock does not exist here in the international game, so you can see some slower and deliberate possessions. And then the timing, the clock does stop in the final 30 seconds of the first 3 quarters, and then with under 2 minutes left, it stops on any whistle as teams try to come up through a comeback. So those are the key differences between the international and in the college level in the United States. Israelis here, 2-0, comfortable victories, 18-6 over Korea, 16-5 over Norway, and each of their first 2 games Perhaps the thing that has been most pleasing for Coach Shelly Brzezicki has been that they have gotten 9 different goal scorers in each. And in their last game, yesterday against Norway, they were able to see some of their other supporting cast players continue to gain some confidence and score some goals. Game 1, coming off the bench, and Julia Rowland played fantastic with a couple of goals. Emily Wasoki off the bench yesterday in the midfield. They got a terrific behind-the-back goal from Abby Stoller. Eden Epner, their 4th or 5th low attacker, who will see extended time, also taking steps forward as Israel is looking to make those steps forward and to try to get themselves into the winner's bracket of the medal round. Lindsay McCone of Israel against Skylar Carrasquillo of Puerto Rico. And they'll point in the direction of Puerto Rico. For Puerto Rico, this has been a quick turnaround. Their game yesterday against Korea, which was scheduled to be played, I think it was at 6 p.m., got delayed as they were stop and start, waiting around because we had weather with a lightning delay and then a little bit of rain yesterday late afternoon that held up, I'd say, the tournament for a good 3 hours. The U.S.-Scotland game, which was scheduled for 8 o'clock, I think it did not start until a little before 9 p.m. And that was the last game of the day. So for Puerto Rico, this is the quicker turnaround. We'll see how they're able to adjust and start off this game as Brianna Carrasquillo got herself into the 11 before Lerner was there lurking for a potential cause turnover. So the 20-year-old Carrasquillo, she'll be a senior at Yale coming up with a younger sister. And there's that shot hitting off the crossbar. Leighton looking behind her. And Israel will find the loose ball, and Lerner will outlet back to her goalie. So Carrasquillo hitting pipe. And Israel with the lead and the ball. Let's have a look at the release. High into the off-stick side by Brianna Carrasquillo. Made 3 starts last year at Yale. 8 goals and 2 assists. And phenomenal stick skills. Perhaps the best Natalie Bermudez, Puerto Rico's coach, has ever seen. And the sisters quite different, as Brianna, 5'8" attacker, tough dodger. Skylar, long strides at 5'11", a draw controller and a midfielder. Courtney Miller on the restart for Israel. And she had a particularly impactful game yesterday against Norway. Israel getting here after those 2 lopsided wins. But Miller's passing yesterday was a real difference maker. Meisenberg able to curl away from the redefend of Puerto Rico. Riemann knew that next pass was coming. Now the feed from Stone, looking for the cutter. And the pickup will belong here to Israel. So Julia Rowland will keep the possession alive. 3-2. And Danny Jacobstein behind. Jacobstein off the face dodge. Just had it poked away by Sarah Cedarstrand. Jacobstein will recover, a little unsettled. McCone inside. Bernard finishes. Allie Bernard, who has gotten off to great starts in opening quarters since the tournament has began. It's 2-0 Israel. So Israel has been opportunistic, and they capitalize after the crossbar was hit on the other end. So each of the Steinberg twins have scored here in the opening quarter. And Allie has shown her grit, particularly on the circle so far in these games. And between the two of them, they have 3 kids. Allie with 2 young girls that are watching mom shine here in Maryland. And the draw control came right into the stick of Lerner. So that's 2 out of 3 now for Israel. As Larry Carr, longtime official here in the Maryland area, blows the play dead. And Israel is in the box. Each team playing for the 3rd straight day. Israel gets tomorrow off. Puerto Rico will face Norway tomorrow. They'll go 4 in a row. Riemann, as Tia Riemann was baiting for that next pass to be made, and Stone misses the look on the nice curl cut inside. Tia Riemann in goal for Puerto Rico. Has started all 3 games here, and there's no backup for Israel. So perhaps Riemann maybe forced Israel to play their offense just a little too quick. And they looked for the shot inside, but there was no backup for Stone. Puerto Rico with Isabella Henson-Vendrell. There are 3 Henson-Vendrells on this Puerto Rico team. 3 sisters, 2 of them are twins, 18-year-olds Isabella and Gabriella. They'll both be freshmen at Villanova coming up in the fall. Antonella, the oldest, 21 years old, just graduated from Monmouth. Puerto Rico yesterday picked up a 13-2 win over Korea. What was a long day. As I mentioned, they had to stop and restart after the weather delays. As coming out in front, Isabella, and she picks up the foul. A free position for the first time for Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was able to jump on Korea yesterday in a big way. Led 10-0 at the half, led 11-0, so the delays did not seem to bother them. They won it 13-2 after defeating the Netherlands Thursday, 14-3. Then they'll get the shot from the outside. Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw. Antonella Henson-Vendrell passed up the free position, and Rodriguez-Shaw has continued what was a sniper of a season at Duquesne this spring. That's her 7th goal here in Towson. And that's low to low from a good distance for about 10 yards for Delaney. And we hit the water break here with 4:23 remaining. First quarter. Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw is from Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Her dream job to do behavioral analysis in the FBI. And loves the mental part of the game. She's represented Puerto Rico going back to the 2019 U19 World Championships. And at Duquesne this year, being the Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year, shot 41%, 43 goals, 55 points. And someone that it's unusual to hear a player this young say this about themselves, but Delaney says that she sees herself as a coach on the field, can see the visual of the field quite well. Just don't often hear that. Perhaps seniors will say that, not necessarily people in their freshman year. And Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw has looked very comfortable here for Puerto Rico. So Las Tainas pick up their first goal. 4:23 to play. And the significance, of course, of this one is it's all about winning your group, or they call it pool play here. But just like it is in the Soccer World Cup and the European Championships, you want to win your group to put yourself into the winner's brackets and keep going through the medal round. And there are some real ramifications in some of these games where, for instance, if you win the pool, you could finish as high as 6th, and the losers of those pools, or if you finish 2nd or 3rd, your best bet, your upside, the highest you can finish is 17th. And a reminder tonight, the U.S. taking on Australia tonight, 7:30 Eastern on ESPNU here from Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland. Lindsey McCone on the one-hand draw grab. McCone has been the workhorse midfielder that Israel anticipated they were adding to their roster. A second-team All-American in 2021 at Northwestern. And Zoe Martin on the field for the first time. And so is Abby Stoller, 23-year-old from Wayland, Massachusetts. And she is more of a finisher on the crease. And two cutters coming inside the pass behind Zoe Martin. And Israel with a rare unforced turnover so far in this World Championship. McCone was looking for a cutter. They were both there. So Tia Riemann, dad was born in Puerto Rico. He was the connection to bring Tia and older sister Anna Riemann, who is a defender for Puerto Rico, and he gets the credit. He brought it up to the girls to connect with Team Puerto Rico. And what dad has provided has been an experience that I think they're never going to forget. Antonella Henson-Vendrell. And Puerto Rico to work, trailing 2-1. Puerto Rico has already seen some high-level competition going back to January in a Florida training camp with Team England that came together last minute. Feet came into the 11-meter, and they played England back-to-back days. England is in Pool A with all the heavy hitters highlighted by the U.S. and Canada. Rodriguez-Shaw to the 11-meter. And Rodriguez-Shaw is 2 for 2 shooting. Puerto Rico has gotten even with Israel. So she was able to step up for the snipe. Well, Natalie Bermudez, who has coached a lot of club and in college, says she's got the fastest coach she's ever seen, and it's also consistent. And Delaney has been able to enjoy watching her idol, Charlotte North, shoot the ball in games. And Delaney has had North-like shooting here since the tournament began. Draw control, and Puerto Rico sends Alexa Vega to the circle. Vega is smothered and picks up the foul. Vega, just 17 years old. She is the youngest on this Puerto Rico team, a verbal commitment to Stony Brook out of the high school class of 2023. minute to go in the first. Clock will stop on any whistle. Chance for Puerto Rico to take the lead with them before the horn. Brianna Carrasquillo weaves her way through, got her hands free, and she sticks the shot. Off the pipe and in with 7 seconds remaining. Brianna Carrasquillo. She was denied by the crossbar earlier. This time used the post to her advantage. What a split dodge, then the weave and around the swipe check of Bernard. Look at this movement and then placement. So Brianna puts Puerto Rico in front. 7 seconds remaining, opening quarter. McCone, still time for Israel. They get it ahead. Final second, Stone. It would have counted. Jesse Stone shot it across the grain. That was a pretty good look in what was a pretty good first quarter. We expected ultra competitive. This one looks like it is going to be a doozy. 3-2 Puerto Rico on a hot morning in Towson on ESPN+. Puerto Rico climbing out of the early 2-0 deficit to lead Israel 3-2. Shots are 6-5 Puerto Rico. And they finished 1 of 2 on free position. Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw has 2 of their goals. Well, among the great leaders that these nations have, Monica Negron certainly separates herself when you learn more about her. She's a 2014 Louisville graduate, 30 years old, the captain from day one since Puerto Rico started women's lacrosse 5 years ago. Her parents hail from Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico, and this is a special 10 days for her. She's from Bel Air, Maryland, and now works and lives in the University of Louisville, as she went to the University of Louisville expecting to go to medical school afterwards, but she realized that health just didn't make sense for her. She realized that events and gathering people was her greatest skill set, and that is perhaps best shown within this Puerto Rico team that is still very young. The vast majority of their team is 23 and under. And Negron, particularly with Natalie Bermudez being the head coach, but you might say that the main connector of this Puerto Rico team is Negron, keeping everybody engaged year-round, not just ahead of the tournaments and ahead of training camps, and always checking in on everybody. Another free position for Puerto Rico to start the second quarter. Brianna Carrasquillo, she's 1 of 2, including a pipe. And this one is stopped by Leighton. To the off-stick side, and Leighton able to throw a strike down the middle. And here comes Israel with a chance as a 4-on-3 develops. Down low to the crease it comes. Stone missed a good look. Stone darting across. She had one similar to close out the first quarter. Meanwhile, on the other end, Kelly Leighton able to deny Carrasquillo. That's her second save. Now weaving her way in front, McCone shooting to the near post. Miller isolates against Anna Riemann. Emily Wasoki on for the first time for Israel. And her feed for Stoller was not expecting it. Puerto Rico will come up with the takeaway. And as the pass carries through, Puerto Rico will get the benefit of a whistle on Brianna Carrasquillo. So she'll have it. Mentioning what Puerto Rico did in the lead up here, they got to play England back-to-back days. They won a quarter against England in the second game, so they were real strides. And then they had a tryout in May this year here in Maryland with players coming off of injury, and they put together, as every country has had, I think, a little bit of a different version of a training camp. They went to the Milstead Cabins in Maryland. It was a lot of fun. And Natalie Bermudez said it was like we were on the island of Puerto Rico. They were very remote, bonding with the team in a different environment. They try to get everybody to connect as quickly as possible. And the same situation for their June training camp, which was in Maryland, scrimmaging local teams. Feed to the backside. And it's a lefty finish. Fine pass by Rodriguez Shaw. And now she is headed distributing to her resume today. 4-2 Puerto Rico. Look at that backside feed to Alexa Vega. Vega just finishing up her junior year at Port St. Lucie's Vero Beach High School, leading the team to the state final. Mom is from Vega Alta, Puerto Rico. Now she has already been a two-time high school All-American and has been a part of the Puerto Rican national team going back since 2019. Natalie Bermudez has known her since she was 13 years old. And there's going to be a day when Alexa Vega is going to be the elder statesman of this team and become one of their first iconic players. Draw control win. Bernard, stop main, Riemann sliding over and able to pick it up in the crease. And here's a look at the shot in transition. I think actually the left foot of Tia Riemann may have gotten it. Now Gabriella Henson-Vendrell with the flip pass. And the skip over the top for Natalie Panzini. She'll be a redshirt sophomore next year at the University of Maryland as she rolls back left. Into the double, here comes Lerner. The flag is out as Natalie Panzini working against Lindsay McCone, and McCone frustrated. Panzini on free position. And the official, I think, has given a warning to one of the players from Israel. It's a delay of game against Israel as Natalie Panzini waits. Now she's got the whistle, and the defense able to collapse and bother the shot. Latent outlets, and Courtney Miller ahead. Let's watch the defense, and that was McCone's stick that got in the way. Shots are 10-8 Israel. Puerto Rico now 1 of 4 on free position. Israel has yet to generate a shot from free po. Bernard with the defender on her hip. And a nice recovery by Puerto Rico. Gabriella Henson-Vendrell was caught behind and then still did enough to prevent a great scoring chance. So with 7 minutes remaining, these two teams with great depth, both coaches can run out a second midfield on these hot days. And when you're playing consecutive days non-stop, how valuable that is. That there's little to any drop-off from one midfield to the next. Skylar Carrasquillo turns, question mark move, has got the goal. Just long and rangy, and just kind of hard to get out there to close out on the shot. 5-2 Puerto Rico. The defender, Sarah Platt, is certainly in pretty good position, but Skylar is just able to shoot over the check. We've reached the water break, 6:03 remaining, and Puerto Rico has scored 5 straight. So for Natalie Bermudez's team, they've been able to gather together And for playing a lot of defense early, and they've started to seize control of this game. There's more lacrosse coming your way this summer once the Women's World Championships are done. On July 9th, lacrosse is just around the corner. The second season of Athletes Unlimited Lacrosse starts July 21st on ESPN2. Players such as Israel's Lindsay McCone, among the former college stars that will play in that, Charlotte North, and many of the U.S. women's national team. And ESPN and ESPN Plus will present more than 160 softball and lacrosse games in the coming year, including 90 games across linear television. And also original programming from Athletes Unlimited will also be available and added on ESPN Plus. So this just sets the stage, and Lindsay McCone has remained very busy. She played last year with the Athletes Unlimited, and somewhat still young in her lacrosse journey. Tried every sport growing up, even swimming. Thought she would be a soccer star. Now lives in New York, working as a business analyst, and this is her first event. So while she is such a stud midfielder, in some ways she is still assimilating to all of her teammates. 3 times she was a high school All-American out of the state of Texas. And for Israel, the bigger picture, how fresh can Shelly Brzezicki keep Lindsay McCone and Courtney Miller in her first midfield could determine a lot as they move ahead into next week, into the medal round. McCone chases and tried to one-hand stab it and pick it up, and that's going to be a yellow. I think McCone did not expect there to be another player in that vicinity. Larry Carr issues the yellow, but Natalie Pansini was trailing there. I think McCone just wanted to swipe it forward and perhaps get the ball and hockey stick it forward to a nearby teammate somewhere. But Panzini just kind of ran into the path of her stick. So here's our first 6-on-5, the 2-minute yellow card. Chance for Puerto Rico to add to this lead. Stepping up down the right alley, Brianna Carrasquillo. Only the post has denied Brianna today. Her second, it's 6-2. And the gamble taken by Martin, particularly down a player, 6-on-5, and that created the opening. And Puerto Rico shooting 6 of 11 here in the first half. Natalie Pansini on the assist. Puerto Rico continues to have the advantage, and they point the ball over to Puerto Rico, but hold on a moment. And we're getting conflicting calls here that it should be Israel's ball. Our officials are very far away from one another to try to communicate. And now they're going to run over and gather to see who's got what. There's McCone, who still has time left on her yellow. with Puerto Rico having already scored player up. These are also international referees spread across from many of the countries and all the various regions from Asia Pacific, Europe, and they will give the ball to Puerto Rico. So a groan from the Israeli fans. So they've called a foul on Israel rather than the ball going out of bounds. That's what gives Puerto Rico possession. And that's why they're going to call the foul actually on Zoe Martin. She's the one set behind Vega. So Vega's pass deflected, and Martin will get some redemption. She picks up the ground ball, and Israel now with time to kill before they can get McCone back and start to make a comeback. They scored the first 2 goals from the Steinberg twins. Jesse Stone 1-0. Allie Bernard 2-0. Puerto Rico's gotten 2 goals apiece from Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw and Brianna Carrasquillo. And as we near 3 minutes left, they've built the 6-2 lead. We're all even. McCone. And McCone got the flag out as she begun to attack off the angle. Free position for Israel. Their first attempt coming here late in the first half. McCone's bouncer converts. So a frustrating last few minutes for Lindsay McCone. She's able to shake it off, get the free position, and Israel is within 6-3. And that ends a long stretch of nearly 25 minutes of scoreless lacrosse for Israel. So it's McCone's 7th of the tournament. And only Zoe Martin has scored more for the Israelis. Martin, Miller, and she could not bring in the pass. Julia Rowland will keep the possession. Israel with a minute left. The clock will stop on any whistle under 30 seconds. Danny Jacobstein. Rowland, right hand dodge. Able to improvise. Israel with 2 quick ones here late in the quarter. It's 6-4. Rowland has turned into a goal scorer here in Towson. She's a 2-year college assistant coach at Franklin and Marshall. Played at Hamilton College. In her career, 5 goals, 3 assists. In 2019 was her best year. A total of 10 goals in college. But she stepped in off the bench in game 1 and was able to contribute. And now she's found her way mixed into the lineup. for Rowland. She also is shooting the ball efficiently. That's 4 goals on 5 shots here in Towson. Time for Israel to get closer as they get the whistle off the draw. Lerner will squeeze her way through the restraining line. 15 seconds left. Can Israel get another? Short time for Danny Jacobstein. Got to go! She does! Israel with 3 goals in less than a minute. It's 6-5. Well, it's been nothing fancy. Free position by McCone. Rowland able to improvise. So does Jacobstein, who's known as a crease finisher. Plays at Stanford, native of Baltimore and the famed McDonough High School. She finishes with a left hand. And with 4 seconds left. And remember this stretch of the game as we near the finish line. Three seconds here for Puerto Rico. And we'll see if Vega can heave it ahead. She does. And this is a shot from the outside. Somewhat dangerous. And Rodriguez-Shaw, perhaps fortunate that she doesn't get a yellow, and now the yellow is given. Meisenberg was in the picture. And the dangerous propel is called on Rodriguez-Shaw. You can understand Rodriguez-Shaw trying to beat the horn from the outside, but Meisenberg was a little too close in that shooting space. So the officials make the call. Rodriguez-Shaw's card will mean that the 3rd quarter will start with Israel player up. This game has radically changed in about a minute of game time. 6-5 Puerto Rico at the half. We're back with highlights on ESPN+.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you know? I've seen it all before. There goes Tiger. Just a shot from the bending knee. My main man, Money the King. There ain't nothing I ain't seen.
Okay, old school. Have you seen someone ball like Ja Morant? You know you can't. You've never seen anyone like a thing. The point guard queen, Sky, or Chloe Kim. Do you know there's never been anyone else like them? Look, OG, no disrespect. I know you think you've seen everything, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Checkmate.
Every player knows the skills you learn on the field can be the foundation for anything you choose to do in life.
Thank you for the sweat, the tears, the pride, and for the celebration we share.
When I reach for a stick, it's like I'm shaking hands with history. Thank you for connecting me to a greater community.
It's more than a game to me. It's a gift to be a positive force in young athletes' lives. And I'm thankful I can help the next generation develop a love for the sport.
When I was his age, those moments on the field meant everything. Thank you for giving us a way to stay connected, even as they get older.
We're growing beyond goals on the field.
And our futures are united.
You give me the opportunity to fuel aspirations
And to ignite potential.
So thank you, Lacrosse.
For inspiring me to be me.
We are better
safer,
and wiser together.
and we're building a stronger future
For everyone.
Well, it's almost lunchtime, and Puerto Rico's lead is just one at the half, 6-5. Israel with 3 goals in about a minute. We'll come back and show you how they did it with our halftime highlights from Towson. Puerto Rico at the half. Israel with a late push to get close here at the break as we are cooking at Towson, 86 degrees with high humidity. And welcome back here in the booth. Ralph Pinarchik with you here in Towson, Maryland. Well, on paper, this was certainly going to be a showdown. Two teams, 2-0, lopsided wins so far in pool play. Former college and current college stars on both sides. And this game has delivered, I think, as expected as we take a look at the first half highlights. Great start for Israel. They led 2-0 before Puerto Rico got themselves going with Brianna Carrasquillo. She was denied on free position on a crossbar, then the free position later, and then the right alley dodge. And then Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw with consecutive goals, including the low-to-low shot, which was fantastic. She's got 8 goals so far in the tournament, but for Israel, trailing 6-2. Lindsay McCone, early dish inside to Jessie Stone, and then McCone at that 6-2 mark. She converted free position to make it 6-3. Israel would add 2 more to bring us where we are. McCone had to shake off a frustrating yellow card that she picked up just minutes earlier. Shots even at 12 apiece. 2 saves in net for Kelly Layton of Israel. And the draw control number bears watching. Israel right now +1. Should be a fantastic second half. A huge game to decide what direction the two teams will go moving forward towards the medal round. It's Puerto Rico by just 1.
We want the gold medal. We've been dreaming of it our entire lives. But this summer, we want more. We have an opportunity together to change the sport and women's athletics for the better. The eyes of the lacrosse community will be on us. Never has this sport been more popular. Never has this platform been bigger. So what's this about? A team of talented women with a shared goal. Inspiring a new generation, one whose identity is a sense of pride and not a limitation. Relentlessly pursuing equity in our sport and beyond, we want the greatness of all women's athletes to shine. The world will be watching. Let's put on a show. This is more than a medal. Are you with us?
Fasten your seatbelt.
The game you've always loved just found a new gear.
Introducing World Lacrosse Sixes.
It's speed and scoring.
Tempo and transition.
Athleticism and action.
It's big-time energy packed onto a smaller playing surface.
It's the game you've always loved, brought to you at warp speed.
It's lacrosse on the Autobahn.
Don't blink. This is World Lacrosse Sixes.
Still a beautiful summer morning in Towson, Maryland, as we start the third quarter. Ralph Bednarczyk back with you from Johnny Unitas Stadium. Puerto Rico led 6-2 midway through the second quarter, but 3 goals in about a minute's time for Israel. They were able to rally, and then they picked up a yellow card, dangerous propel, at the halftime horn by Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw. So they'll be player up to begin the third quarter without a draw. So how quickly, in perhaps a matter of 2 minutes of game time, this game is changing. So Rowland to orchestrate from behind. That's Courtney Miller on the wing, inside of the crease, and they were looking to feed inside for Allie Bernard, and they overthrew her. Good pressure on ball. Bacone, down low, Bernard got the look. Save made by Riemann, but the foul. The closeout check. And it'll be a second yellow against Puerto Rico. Off the field goes Anna Riemann. So now we'll have the very rare 6-on-4 situation. And it'll be for a good minute 20 of 6-on-4. So Riemann trying to do her best to close out on Allie Bernard as she took the shot. And Bernard will go free position. Let's see if she'll take it here. And Bernard will pass. Rowland now to the crease, wide open, slam dunk. Eden Epner got the feed. So Israel indeed decided, let's go and try to go get a great shot rather than just a good shot on free position. And we are tied at 6 as Israel has completed the comeback. They'll remain player up, but a difficult spot for Puerto Rico, being outnumbered. Big draw control for Puerto Rico. And they get the outlet. That was Vega drawing to herself. And Skylar Carrasquillo, who was on the field but didn't draw there. And now Puerto Rico can take some time off the clock. The first yellow on Rodriguez-Shaw is done. And now I'd estimate about 30 seconds left on that yellow to Riemann. They'll call the foul against Lerner. And we hear Shelly Brzezicki and her coaching staff asking her team to double the ball in this case. The foul, though, by Lerner, and called inside the 11, so this will give a sniper like Rodriguez-Shaw a look from free position. So she'll take it in, and it's buried. Rodriguez-Shaw, Puerto Rico converts, down a player. And they're back in front 7-6. So actually the goal coming just after we got even strength. Rodriguez-Shaw able to take it in. Her third of the game to go along with an assist. And what feels like an important goal for Puerto Rico, not to allow Israel to complete their comeback and then take the lead and completely shift momentum. McCone, one-hand stab, and to get the draw control. Remember that important draw control won by Alexa Vega. Still down 2 players with some time left. The advantage in the international game is the clock keeps moving. The continuous clock that only stops. There's an injury. McCone. As Bernard worked her way through the 11 is fouled. So Bernard from the left hash. She passed up the last one. She'll take it here and able to beat Riemann. So Allie Bernard reties the game at 7-all. Her second. Simple bouncer. So Israel continues to show their offensive balance. And they are now 7 of 14 shooting. Puerto Rico 7 of 13. And Israel 2 of 2 on free position. McCone reached for it. Ball on the ground. Bernard comes up with another gritty ground ball. During her time at Rutgers, she led the team in draw controls. In her last 3 years, once had a school record 10 draw controls in a win over UConn. Israel now with a chance for the lead. They led this game early, 2-0. McCone, draw and dump. Then the left-hand finish, Jacobstein. Nice adjustment from Danny Jacobstein. She could have forced immediately upon the cradle, but then switched to her left, and Israel is back in front. McCone drawing so much attention, and the defender caught a little bit in no man's land. Tiana Vasquez trying to make the decision, and Jacobstein rolling off. It's 8-7 as we've hit our third quarter water break. So McCone with her second assist of the game, able to orchestrate some more. Jacobstein's second of the game, part of 2 teams that have captured the Pac-12 championship at Stanford. And she'll be a senior coming back in 2023. Coming up tonight, there'll be a national television audience on ESPNU to watch the U.S. taking on Australia. And the U.S. demolishing Scotland last night. And that game was over pretty quickly. And Australia just trying to regroup. Australia last night struggling against Canada in the first 3 quarters, got it together late before falling. I believe it was a 9-4 or 5 final. So we'll see if Australia can rise to the challenge. You can watch that game tonight on ESPNU. And what's also great about the showcase games here that the U.S. plays is that they're in prime time. There's generally no other games happening. If they are, maybe they're finishing up. But all the other countries that are assembled here that get to watch the U.S. players, the Canadian stars like Dana Dobie, that they've grown up watching on YouTube and trying to emulate their moves, they get to watch them and play in person and see the speed of the game and what the highest level looks like. And I can't tell you enough how significant that is to these players. And then at the same time, the U.S. and Canada players are just so forthcoming, and they'll meet and greet the players from the other teams, and how special of a moment that is for those players and also the coaches, that they get to interact with some of the other coaches in countries, and especially U.S. coaches, and share ideas. It's truly not just about the competition, but it's a celebration of the game of lacrosse, and also continuing to boost the development of it and take it to a higher level worldwide, and to provide more resistance to the U.S. and Canada. Israel with Zoe Martin able to get control of the draw. McCone as the defender committed over, then the pass down low, knocked down. And can Puerto Rico come up with a turnover? They will. The pass knocked down, active stick by Isabella Henson-Vendrell. That caused the havoc, and Puerto Rico gets the benefit of the call. Isabella. She is the youngest of the 3 sisters. And among the twins, Gabby just a few minutes older. Isabella, as she tried to break down the defender, ball to ground, and Leighton has it. Leighton in some trouble, and was able to get rid of it to Lerner, and Israel will search for the clear. There is no shot clock in the international game, so clears can be methodical, and you can be patient with it. As Kelly Leighton commands. Kelly spent the spring as a volunteer assistant coach at nearby George Washington after living in Israel full-time. Now Leighton will heave it and finds Epner. McCone not able to use the screen. Set by Rowland, still takes it across. Just started to separate from her defender. Improvised herself. And Lindsay McCone continues to steer Israel forward. She started their comeback, and now it's a 2-goal Israel lead. Now she's circled all the way from the left wing. And just getting a little separation from Sarah Cedarstrand, the defender. So 2 goals, 2 assists for Lindsay McCone. And Puerto Rico to come up with the draw control. Skylar Carrasquillo gets shooting space. Skylar able to extend and get to the front of the goal, but unable to get the shot off. Foul on Israel. Well, on numerous occasions today, Israel has been able to shut down Puerto Rico's free positions. And Puerto Rico, and while that does not count as a shot, we could say Puerto Rico now 2 of 5 on free position. Feed inside the 11, and Brianna Carrasquillo is tied up. So now she will go to the left hash of the arc, a little off center. Brianna hits another from free position. Now 3 of 6 shooting, her second conversion from the 11. And Puerto Rico makes it a 1-goal game again. A composed shot from Brianna Carrasquillo. High School Player of the Year out of Atlanta her senior year. And 2-time first-team All-State. The Carrasquillos got their lacrosse start on Long Island, growing up in Rocky Point, Suffolk County before moving south to Georgia. Lerner. They'll give the ball back to Megan Lerner, who brushes off contact and all the slashes that she takes. It doesn't bother her. "15 seconds left, third quarter. Clock will stop on any whistle. Miller to isolate with eyes to the front. Miller feeding inside, shovel shot! Jacobstein, 10-8 with just 1 second remaining in the third. Jacobstein with a couple of near buzzer-beating goals today. As she slides it past Riemann. So with 1 second remaining, a big third quarter for Israel. They score 5 goals. Jacobstein has 3 on the day. The fourth quarter coming up. Should be an awesome final 15 minutes, and perhaps plus on ESPN Plus from Towson. (10-8) Israel as we start the fourth quarter. About to hit high noon. Ralph Bednarczyk with you here from Towson, Maryland. Well, at the start, as I teased, pair of 2-0 teams. And the winner of this game, in all likelihood, is going to advance into the winner's bracket. Still one game left for both, but they would win the pool and then advance into the winner's bracket, while the loser finds themselves in a much lower ceiling as far as how high they can finish in the World Championship. Something like 6th place is the best, 17th is the best for the losers or the 2nd and 3rd place teams out of the pool. So it's a big gap as far as where you can go. And as the fourth quarter begins, the ball will be signaled over to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico led 6-2 after a player-up goal from Brianna Carrasquillo midway through the second. But the 3-goal run with 1 minute left by Israel looms large. That cut it to a 6-5 Puerto Rico lead at half. And then an Eden Epner goal on player-up to begin the third quarter, because Rodriguez Shaw of Puerto Rico was issued a yellow at the halftime horn, so it changed in a matter of 2 minutes of game time. And Israel has since taken the lead. Puerto Rico certainly has the talent and the draw control, namely Skylar Carrasquillo, to try to put together runs. Natalie Pansini. Brianna Brianna Carrasquillo loses her balance, able to protect the stick against Lerner. Now the feed to the front and a slam dunk. Well, they used the 5'11" height there of Skylar Carrasquillo. Puerto Rico cuts it to one again, 10-9. Skylar's second of the game. And Rodriguez Shaw threw her an alley-oop. And she's the only one in the field that can go and get that. Skylar this year at Yale scored 3 goals. But she was their primary draw controller, a Fogo. Brianna Carrasquillo and Puerto Rico here early in the fourth will have a chance to tie again. Carrasquillo got the step on McCone, hit the post. Layton has it. And Carrasquillo dinging the crossbar. So Layton to organize the clear, and Lerner able to escape from the pressure of Antonella Henson-Vendrell. And Israel is in the box as we'll hit 11 minutes to play.
Wait! Got ball. Hey, TM, wait, I got ball. I got ball. I'm behind. I got ball. I'm behind. I got ball. Ball.
Deliberate possession from Israel. They've taken about 90 seconds off the clock. Rowland had Epner cutting to the crease in the draw and dump, but it wasn't open. And one of the officials blows the whistle. Guess a piece of tape came off the stick.
Hey, be ready. Someone, I'm leaving. I'm about to leave. Please,
McCone drew the immediate slide. Here is room for Jacobstein to weave her way through. All the attention that Lindsay McCone commands, and it has been opening things up for Israel. Today, Danny Jacobstein has been the main beneficiary. She's tallied 4 times, and Israel surges back in front by 2. Puerto Rico has pretty much slid upon the first step that McCone takes. And what a tournament this may end up being for Danny Jacobstein. Has scored 2 career goals at Stanford. They came this spring in a game against Oregon. Jacobstein in there in the draw circle and able to self-draw. Well, Shelly Brzezicki has talked about how she has seen players step up with each game. There are 2 lopsided wins coming in, but 9 different goal scores. And everybody in this Israel roster has had their moments or significant contributions. And that bodes very well here early in the tournament. The name of the game is growing with each passing day. You get a limited time to be together between training camps. 5 days, maybe a week of training camp leading into the championship, and that's it. They're trying to integrate players that at times, for some of these countries, have never played together or know each other maybe just from one weekend. Bernard able to retreat and escape from, again, a near caused turnover from Isabella Henson-Vendrell. McCone able to get her hands free with the underhand look. It's not much separation, but it gets the job done. The defender trailing on her hip, and McCone able to just hang that stick out a little bit in front and pass it in. Third of the game for Lindsay McCone. And she has had 2 big sweeps in this game. The goal at 9-7, and now this one here at 12-9. Will it be enough for Israel? We'll get the water break here with 6:31 to play. And McCone, who I'm not sure has left the field today. If it was, it might have been 30 seconds. And she can certainly have a chance to recharge. As Shelly Brzezicki talks through things with her team. Reminder coming up tonight, the United States will take the field again here at John United Stadium at 7:30 Eastern. Keep in mind there is some weather in the area, so you'll definitely want to check in these next several hours as we get to tonight. But the game's scheduled 7:30 Eastern, live on ESPNU. And can Australia regroup and put together an effort to push the United States after what was a super opening game that was won by the U.S. 16-11, but Canada made a frantic comeback to make that be a 12-10 game early in the 4th quarter before the U.S. put on the finishing touches. Israel fielded a team for the first time in 2015. But very quickly able to make a World Championship appearance in 2017, finishing 6th. They finished in 8th in their very first competition in 2013. And now with many more teams, 29 teams here. There were 30 scheduled, but unfortunately Uganda having visa issues, unable to participate in the tournament last minute. Israel finished 2nd in the European Championship, in which they hosted in Netanya, Israel, 2019. They lost the final to England 10-7. And they went 5-3 in that tournament, losing to England twice and to Wales once. Israel came up with the draw control, and it's been Jacobstein that has emerged the most in support of McCone today. McCone could hold. Israel in no rush, under 6 minutes left. And Puerto Rico does have the takeaway players necessary to start some transition. Can they get the ball on the ground a couple of times and then get Carrasquillo or perhaps Vega into the circle and try to win some consecutively? Miller watched by Natalie Panzini. Rowland, as she was getting ready to shoot, she is fouled. And a yellow is out against Puerto Rico. So with 4:42 remaining, Puerto Rico desperately trying to cause a turnover and at least get the ball on the ground. And that's Maria Panzini that heads off, picking up the yellow. So that's 2 minutes here of player up for Israel. Will they consider shooting in this situation or elect to burn some more time? And Rowland will go outside, and indeed they'll play 6-on-5 and try to eliminate the two perhaps, or at least initially. And that pass, that's the danger of it, an unforced error. That pass out of the reach of Rowland. Epner just put a little too much on it. So Puerto Rico, if they can clear, they'll be 5-on-6. Brianna Carrasquillo. And can Puerto Rico perhaps generate something down a player from free position? Panzini looking for the breakdown. She'll take the shot. Shooting with the right hand and fading away from Cage. Rodriguez-Shaw was there to back it up. Rodriguez-Shaw to initiate. So Israel can double the ball. Rodriguez-Shaw knifes her way through. She's added her fourth. 3:20 to go. Back to a 2-goal game. And the goal comes down a player. Although Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw has shown that she doesn't really need her hands free much in order to score. 3 years ago, representing Puerto Rico at the U19s, she finished tied for 8th in the tournament in scoring with 24-5 over the course of 9 games. Draw control, Puerto Rico comes up with it. And now we're all even. This game still very much in the balance. Natalie Panzini feed into the crease. And perhaps not expecting the pass was Brianna Carrasquillo. And it's a circle violation against Israel. So this will give the ball back to Puerto Rico. So a big break, and they'll be able to restart. And with some good ball movement with the defender behind, get something early. They go to the backside. A shot. Oh, what a look! Isabella Henson-Vendrell able to sneak in on the backside and roof it. 12-11 with 2 minutes to go. Rodriguez Shaw showing she can dish too. Her second assist of the game. Not an easy shot for a righty. And Isabella Henson-Vendrell able to put it past the stick side of Layton. So a timeout called. 2 minutes to go. And a gigantic draw control obviously coming up. And how will Israel play it? With the ability of Puerto Rico to cause turnovers and then also win draws, you may not necessarily just want to sit on one goal. If you play keep away, they could take it away, score, and then win it themselves and repeat that. And the clock situation, again, in the international rules, it stops at every whistle under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. Puerto Rico looking for still this developing program's biggest win since starting women's lacrosse in 2017. The Puerto Rican Lacrosse Federation was started in 2015 on the men's side, and 2 years later the women's team was born. They've put in a lot of time on the island, especially after the World Championships. They're so excited, Natalie Bermudez is. Once this World Championship is done, they've got a handful of clinics scheduled. They already have teams at the 5th grade and 6th grade group, and they want to provide the island and everybody of Puerto Rican heritage a team that they can be inspired by and show that it can be done. And this is an opportunity that they can bookmark if they find a way to pull this one out. It'll be the teenager Vega to take the draw, while Israel will put up Jacobstein again. And off the circle, McCone continues to rake it forward and eventually pick it up herself. McCone will deal it back to safety for Lerner. Lerner with a couple of spin moves. Stoppage at 140. Lerner surrounded before she gets it to Ali Berner. Miller, down low, Rowland! It's a 2-goal game with 1:26 remaining. Julia Rowland has been able to shoot the ball great in Towson. And looked like there was no indecision. She was going to go for the shot and try to make it a 2-goal game. So the second for Rowland. And Israel, their main theme continues to develop. Contributions up and down the lineup. Lerner, and Lerner is fouled. And that might have been the most physical draw control battle we've had today. Carrasquillo knocking down Jacobstein. Play continues. Ball eventually pinballs around, and Bernard fouled. Timeout Israel. 1:03 remaining. Puerto Rico had chances at 10-9. They had the ball. And a shot by Skylar Carrasquillo to try to tie the game, hit the post. We've been tied on 4 other occasions. Well, the McCone goal, her 3rd of the game, as she swept across to make it 12-9. That certainly felt like it was perhaps going to be enough. Israel has added another from Julia Rowland.
We're green on everything. We're just freestyle green. We're pushing to the cage.
Hey,
all right, let's go. Finish. Finish up.
Let's quit this shit out. Let's go.
Leave everything out on the field right now.
Down 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hard!
Coaching staff of Puerto Rico, Russell Allen, head coach at Canisius, really worked his way up for the Division III level. The staff of Natalie Bermudez. So Puerto Rico urgent here. If they can get a stop, they're looking for a heave to try to get a quick look and then set up one more draw. Lerner forced along the sideline, and again uses her strength to shield the defender. Riemann is now out of goal, 40 seconds left. So Puerto Rico can double the ball. Lerner. A foul on Puerto Rico. Riemann is now retreated back to the crease. Bernard, ball on the ground. Pursuing is Puerto Rico, and the foul. Nearly a clean check by Adriana Najai. Najai chasing. That ball on the ground inside for McCone. So McCone will have free position upon being fouled there. And they'll call the foul on Riemann. So McCone can shoot on an empty net. 15 seconds left. McCone will take the free shot and put it in, and that puts a capper to a come-from-behind victory for Israel. 14-11. Lindsay McCone at times had to really lift up her team. 4 goals in the day. To go along with 3 assists, basically never leaving the field except for a 2-minute yellow, that if anything gave her an additional break. And McCone knows it. And Israel is going to advance. They'll have one game left, and they look like they have the makings of being a real threat to some of the teams in Pool A once they have a chance to see them in the medal round. Jacob Steen will essentially just ice the puck in the corner, and time will run out. Israel climbs out of a 6-2 first half deficit, and they move to 3-0 in the Women's World Lacrosse Championship. They get to their day off with a lot of momentum, and they beat a very good Puerto Rico team 14-11. Lindsay McCone, 7 points. Danny Jacobstein with 4 on 5 shots. Delaney Rodriguez-Shaw, 4-3 to lead Puerto Rico. From producer and director Adam Teeter, my name is Ralph Bnorchik saying so long and goodbye